So good evening, everyone. Mike and I just evaluated Amy's work, and oh my God, it's beautiful. Wow, impressive.
Appreciate it.
You are a model of excellence to the field of education. I can tell that you care, and I can see your passion through your work. Thank you. So I want to ask you, we're looking at your data. Hey, I know STAR test is a very challenging time, and we look at our results and we look at our, it's like data is so important, but for you personally, hey, what do you see in your data that looks really good that we can say, hey, this is pretty cool and we're going to celebrate this?
Um, I think the biggest thing that I saw with this test, kind of over some ecology topics was they really got at things like adaptation and the traits that really help organisms survive. Um, I don't know if it's just something I will say, not to like put it not on myself, but I think
Oh,
it's something that these topics kind of get introduced early. So I do think that kind of helps. But I also really try to do a lot of real world examples with these topics, and I think some of those really stuck. So I'm really proud of, that is a teak that they did really well on. And yeah, I mean, yeah, I tried to really focus in on also a lot of organizational type things with some of the adaptations and traits. So again, um I try to make it very hands-on, and I think that's really why some of those topics stuck.
so exploratory learning.
Yes. Yes.
Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful.
I try to find if there's, simulations or any, um yeah, like I said, a lot of real world examples as much as I can to
Awesome.
make them stick.
So looking at your data, what's where's the trouble spot? Where's the red flag or the white elephant in the room?
Yeah. So in terms of at least to start with the the within this unit that I was teaching, was something called ecological succession. There's two different types of it. And it's it's a tricky one where you just have to kind of almost like memorize the two different types and the
Right.
various ways, the various paths that it can go down. So that was the biggest trouble area within that ecology unit. We also on the test do try to have um, review questions as well from because eighth grade science is literally, I mean, you name it, it's all of the science that they're tested on. And so while we were in the life sciences aspect of it, there's questions on the test about space, and there's questions on the test with some chemistry and with some physics.
Oh
And so
no.
those were the other like trouble areas where it kind of gives you that light bulb of, oh, okay, well, even though we're learning, ecology, we also need to be thinking of these other things that, even though it's not necessarily the same topics, we need to be spiraling them. It was a big kind of wake up with that.
Okay,
Okay.
so I had a question with that,
Yeah.
Amy, because what it seems like is you have a similar standard. We're looking at 8.6C and 8.12B, and I noticed two things about it. One is that it involves description, and so it's sort of describing processes or describing aspects of ecological succession, or you have adhesion and cohesion. I look at those two things. So like, I mean, you mentioned it so beautifully, I think, when it comes to like what they didn't understand in the specific answer choice. But
Mhm.
like, what do you think caused the mastery to sort of break down when it came to, let's
Mm.
say, maybe knowing what adhesion is or knowing what cohesion is, but having a difficulty between the two things? What made that so difficult for our scholars?
Um, that's I mean, with some of it, I think they're almost so closely related that I don't, I mean, I can't, I'm not sure I can think of anything else. They're so closely related to one another that it's just so easy to mix them up. Um,
Mm.
And so I know, I mean, thinking forward, it really needs to be very heavy vocabulary. I mentioned with the big, where they were with their strengths, I used a lot of visuals and real world examples. And so I think I need to do more of that with some of these, can we make an anchor chart? Can we put something on the wall that's just always there in their
Yeah.
face? And probably, same thing with the successions as well as the different paths of, how can I I know some of the visuals, the very hands-on simulations, real world connections worked, with other teaks. So I think some of that could help with these struggling ones.
Okay, sure. And I think those real world examples where when I look at the trend and I really look across the standards, I mean, we're talking 85% or higher on those things we could celebrate, those standards that you
Yeah.
rocked. And so what I'm wondering is when we talk about anchor charts and things of that sort, I was looking at your reteaching plan and you were talking about specifically with these things like adhesion and cohesion, you were talking about things that are visuals, the two large trays, things of that sort.
Hmm.
So if you just made a visual itself, I mean, I love the hands-on. That can actually be really beneficial. But when you make like, let's say, a visual or an anchor chart to hang in the class, what kind of things do you think need to be on that teacher exemplar to maybe crystallize it and make it easier for your scholars to know those differences?
Hmm. I mean, I think it needs to be, um, something that they can relate to. I think it has to be something like in their everyday lives, that they can relate to. And so it's not just like full on science. It's like, can we just even draw some rain on a car window that they're a little more familiar with in their everyday lives, and it doesn't have to be all science, all the scientific aspects of it all the time. So I think that would be my goal is how can we, and bringing them into it as well, help having them help think of those, every day that, we don't have to be thinking specifically within plants or whatever it is. Um, if it is rain on a car window, how can we bring something that they're very, very familiar with into it?
I love your exit ticket. And it's, why is it important for an exit? What is that about? It has to be aligned to,
Yeah, I mean, we wanted to align to the lesson. So I try to, I mean, for all of them, I tried to think of, exit tickets that really went with the purpose of the lesson and to make sure that they're taking away what I wanted them to walk away with. And if they did it, I can look at that. I can look at their answers. And if they didn't, it's like, all right, we need to start over and think of something new. So, I tried to be creative with some of the questions of asking it in different ways. Um, yeah, and that's kind of, across the board for all of their, especially the struggling teaks.
I think you got your theme right there. Think of something new.
Yeah. And so yeah, you just kind of if just monitor and adjust. So um if if they still don't get it after some of the, if we do an anchor chart together and I give them some practice and they're still not getting what I need out of it or what they're supposed to be learning from it, then yeah, we'd readjust and we'll try again.
Right
Well,
on.
I had one more question too when it comes to that about reteaching because you're talking about the exit tickets and yeah, I mean that's a fabulous idea as well. But I think when it comes to direct instruction, I guess my question is since things were so good with the real world examples and the practical exemplars, how do you think direct instruction might be a little bit different this time to maybe accommodate some of those things like real world learning or just examples that, like you said, doesn't have to be science all the time? I think that that can be a brilliant alternative.
Yeah, so I mean, that's a good question because I don't know. It's one of those I always do try like I feel like I need to say it, so To some degree, there's just gonna be me being a little yappy at them and to make sure. Yeah, I just feel the need to say it sometimes to get the point across. I don't know. I don't know if I'll ever get out of that.
That's awesome.
But yeah, but then, but incorporating those things at the, trying to incorporate those things at the same time. I mean, maybe if anything, to pull back from my yappiness, I put together questions where I'm just like throwing questions at them and making them answer. So making them think rather than putting it on myself, which I know that's always a goal for teachers, is make them talk, not you talk. So, I think that would definitely be big. And then yeah, trying to include some, making sure I'm including the visuals, making sure I'm including, if it is if I can include some sort of, graphic organizer while I'm talking, they're talking, um, hearing about it from their peers, having them be able, if I am just throwing questions at them, giving them the opportunity to talk with the partner first, and then we can talk whole group. And so yeah, just trying different things like that where, um, you know, just yeah, I guess try different things to make sure, like I said, I'm still passing it along, but including some of
Mhm.
those things that I know work at the same time.
In your data, I see you cover all your bases. You got everything planned out. It's beautiful.
Absolutely.
It's systematic. It's
It is.
well structured. What's the weakness in your data, if any, that you feel you can improve on? Like what drives you? Because your passion intrinsically, it's
Mhm.
like that's the engine to help drive student success. But what according to your data, do you think? Like what disturbs you? What
I think overall, I kind of mentioned it at the beginning. I think overall, um, just this test was very eye-opening to, even though I'm in a life sciences aspect of the class, that we still need to throw in a little bit of space, sprinkle in some space. Or how can I be creative to even merge these? If I do a space warm up, how can I connect that to my life sciences, just to make sure I'm spiraling in, and whatever they learned in September, October is still fresh when we get to
still in there?
April and May. So yeah,
Beautiful.
I think making sure I'm spiraling and trying to be creative with, you know, even though we're on a completely new unit, completely different type of science, how can we still incorporate these things and even potentially make them connect to what we are talking about?
That's
Well, I like it.
beautiful.
I like it. The idea of connecting with the teaks and everything. What I would tell you, Amy, is I just think that the things that are working, it's like go for it. Keep doing
Yeah.
them. And so it's okay to do those incorporations. I love to see people take risks. I had a principal once that told me that it's okay to take risks. It's okay to even make mistakes as long as we're learning from them, as long as we're creating things. And I think you have the right approach. And so it's just a matter of how can we make it more relevant to the students, and how
Yes.
can we make it a part of their lives every day. I think that'll absolutely internalize in their mind, and I could see results going up across the board, even though there's a lot to celebrate here.
Yeah, absolutely.
That's all I got for this side.
Yeah. Thank you, Amy. I appreciate your time.
Beautiful.
Appreciate y'all's input.